Your teens are in trouble. According to the Center for Disease Control, 47.4% of high school students in 2011 had had sex. Of those students, 33.7% had had sex in the previous 3 months, and 39.8% of those didn't use a condom. When I was in high school, I didn't get a sex education class until I was a junior. And when I got it, it was part of a human anatomy class. It was one section in an entire semester of classes, and it was an elective. My high school, like many across America, doesn't offer comprehensive sex education. And that's a real problem because teenagers need to be informed before curiosities or pressure puts them at risk for diseases or unwanted pregnancies. Teenagers are at risk because they don't hear the facts. They don't hear the statistics. Their teachers don't tell them to wait. They aren't given credit for learning how to be safe, for learning to wait. If we acknowledge that they are being exposed to sex, the only way to protect them is to make sure they know how to protect themselves. Abstinence is the only sure way. And that's something that we can teach all the teenagers in America to make sure that they know that waiting is the only way to make sure that they aren't saddled with an unwanted pregnancy or with a disease that could cripple them for life. The fact is, you can't just forbid them from having sex. You have to explain the dangers. You have to confront them with logical facts. You have to let them know that their body is a temple. It is a gift from God, and it is a gift like their future is. The book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 4 says, "Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral." What are the risks of not informing teens about sex? According to the CDC, in 2009, 8,300 people aged 13 to 24 had HIV. And this is just in a survey of 40 states. I think we can assume that that number is much higher. And why? Because teenagers are uninformed. According to the article, Contraceptive Use and Pregnancy Risk Among High School Students, 1991 to 2003, by John Santelli, Brian Morrow, John Anderson, and Laura Duberstein Lindberg, in 2003, 46% of high school pregnancy risk was from not using contraceptives. So it follows, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures article, State Policies on Sex Education in Schools, the U.S. has the highest rate of teen pregnancy in the industrialized world. Teen mothers are less likely to finish high school and more likely to live in poverty. We can teach teens to abstain from sex. There are abstinence-only classes that are teaching teens that it's best to wait to protect not only themselves, but their partners. Teaching such a sex education does not mean encouraging teens to have sex. The Georgetown article, Sex Education in Schools by Kelly Percival and Emily Sharp states that states like New Mexico don't teach contraceptive methods. Kids still get informed, and parents know that their own beliefs aren't being trampled on. The kids in New Mexico know that the only way to prevent diseases is to wait to have sex. According to the article Abstinence-Only Education and Teen Pregnancy Rates, Why We Need Comprehensive Sex Education in the U.S., by Catherine Stranger Hall and David Hall, federal funding for abstinence-only education was restored for 2010 and beyond by Congress, including $250 million. The government is on board for abstinence-only education. This means that your children won't be exposed to any sort of sex education that you don't want them exposed to. Again, sex education does not mean a separation from your religious beliefs. The book of Thessalonians, chapter 3, verses 3 through 6, it is God's will that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control his own body in a way that is holy and honorable, not in a passionate lust like the heathen who do not know God. If you believe in the Word of God, then an ignorant teen is in danger not only from disease, but from corruption. Teaching abstinence only in high school is a way to prevent this. I know that this is a sensitive issue. I know that not everyone is comfortable with their children being taught about sex in school. However, sometimes comfort must be put aside in the interest of the children. Because although they are young adults, teenagers are still growing. They need to learn everything about being an adult. In the same way that they need to learn how to drive responsibly and handle money, they need to know the aspects of sex and what the dangers are of not waiting until you're married, or at least committed to someone with all of your heart. There are real risks present when teens are ignorant of the consequences of unsafe sex. Abstinence-only classes are an alternate that can save lives and bring fulfillment to your children. When temptation does present itself, and your children feel the pressure to follow societal norms, they can look back at the lessons learned in school, not only from you parents, but from their teachers, from their classmates, from the authority figures that they know and respect. It's so important that teenagers learn abstinence from the people that they admire and respect, because otherwise, why would they listen?